Okay, at the top are these Nintendo tabletop arcade games collected over the years. The Popeye one I grew up with. I don't know when we got that. Like, I don't remember life without that Popeye arcade tabletop. I literally don't. We've always had that as long as I can remember. The Snoopy I actually traded for. I traded my friend Orion. I had a scooter that he wanted, and he had this Snoopy that I wanted. So, scooter for Snoopy, I think I got the better of that deal. And then Donkey Kong Jr. and Mario, I got both of those off eBay. I watched for like a year to... If you really want something on eBay but you don't want to pay full price for it, if you just watch for a really long time, you will eventually come across an auction where someone just lists something for like $1 and no one's paying attention and you can get it for dirt cheap. The Donkey Kong thing I got for $6 just by doing that. So just a little pro tip if you want to be like crazy patient about collecting stuff like this. Because if you're going to collect a lot of this stuff, it adds up. Like it's really expensive. The only way to do it is if you are really patient and frugal about, how much you spend on these things. Because especially now, if you go on eBay, all of the buy it nows on all this stuff is usually 25 to 50% markup what it actually should be. Sometimes it's like a solid $10-20 more than it should be. But anyway, only have a few Atari games. Those came from my neighbor, my best friend growing up, Kevin Murphy. They had an Atari, and they were having a garage sale. And I asked my mom if we could buy the Atari from the neighbors, and we did. So that's where those games came from. That was when I was, 7 years old. NES games. Most of these NES games I grew up with. When I was a kid with the NES, it was the system. Like it was video games. Nintendo was video games, and every birthday, every Christmas, my brother and I, the only thing we got from our parents, from our extended families, our uncles were Nintendo games. That was it. Nothing else. Like no other toys. So we ended up with a ton of Nintendo games. And I remember when I wanted to get the Genesis, when that came out, my mom was so mad. She was so mad because, and I understand why. She was like, what are we supposed to do with all these Nintendo games? Because now this new system is out, and now you have to get all these new games for this new thing? And I was like, oh yeah. So sorry, Mom. But as you can see, I ended up getting a lot more games for a lot more other systems since then. So, but kept all of the Nintendo games. Not like we threw them away. So we're still getting use out of them, Mom. So don't be mad. I'm not gonna go through every single game, but just a few of my favorite games: Bionic Commando, the Contra. The original Contra, man, played that just nonstop when I was little. The Konami Code and all of that. The Castlevanias. The Goonies 2. Man, the Goonies 2 is the kind of game where, when I was a kid, it was great. I couldn't imagine someone trying to play it now fresh and having like any sort of positive feelings about it. But my mom, she actually loved the Goonies 2. And she woke up my brother and I in the middle of the night when she found the ladder, which was hidden. I'm pretty sure it's hidden in the water zone. But that was like a big deal because it was hard to find stuff. If you've played the Goonies 2, you'll know. You'll just walk into a room and you literally have to like punch walls, okay, or hammer walls, or the ceiling, or the floor in order to find stuff. Like it's really weird to think about today, but that's how you play that game. Some Super Nintendo games. I was a Genesis kid. We didn't have Super Nintendo, so I didn't get Super Nintendo until much later, until like after college, I think. I bought one off eBay. So I don't have a ton of Super Nintendo games, especially because now they're like $1 trillion each. Collecting for the Super Nintendo is completely nuts. Kind of like out of the question. Each game is like $50. at least. Nintendo 64 games, same deal there. Don't have a lot of these because I was a PlayStation kid. Never had an N64. Genesis. The Sonic games, obviously. Streets of Rage games. Vector Man. I was obsessed with Vector Man. You could win $25,000 supposedly for beating this game. You get like a code at the end. And I remember really thinking, I'm gonna beat it. I'm gonna get the code. I'm gonna win the $25,000. I didn't win the $25,000. Here are TurboGrafx-16 games, which if you're not familiar with, I showed you earlier. They're cards. They're these cue card things, which is strange if you've never seen those before. There's no graphics. There's no artwork on the back. There are some really, really cool games that you can only play on the TurboGrafx-16, like Bloody Wolf. So this is like a Rambo clone. Sega CD. For Sega CD, I only have games that I really, really covet because, again, like I didn't have a Sega CD when I was a kid. I just got one a couple of years ago. I got the CDX. So Lunar 2, Popful Mail, Sega CD, Snatcher. Snatcher is super, super awesome game. You should check that out if you can. Maybe like play the ROM or something of it. This was made by Hideo Kojima. See, Konami. Remember Konami? But it's kind of like Terminator meets Blade Runner. You're a detective, and you have to solve who's snatching bodies, turning people into robots, stuff like that. Replicants. It's really cool. Saturn. Again, same thing with the Saturn. I pretty much just have got the JRPGs of the Saturn. Albert Odyssey is a cool one. This is from Working Designs. So the dialogue, if you're familiar with Working Designs, they always translated the games with kind of like silly pop culture references and kind of goofy dialogue. Some people hate it. I think it's really funny. So if you're into that, if you like Working Designs translations, Albert Odyssey is a really, really funny game. Talking to the NPCs, just walking around and talking to the NPCs is the best part of Albert Odyssey, I think. Panzer Dragoon Saga, which I mentioned earlier. This game is really incredible. I was blown away after I finished that game how no game has ripped that off since then. Like, if you're a game developer, steal stuff from Panzer Dragoon Saga because nobody has, and the game is amazing. I don't know what happened, why that hasn't influenced other games. But you fly on, you're on a dragon and you fly around, and depending on what angle you're at, is how you hit the enemies in the air. It's really cool. Dreamcast games. My favorite being Skies of Arcadia. Definitely check this out. You're a pirate, air pirate, and you get to set up your own pirate base and like build it up and all this stuff. It's a great game. Some PSP games, the Castlevanias. Aliens Infestation is a pretty cool game. Lucy's over it. She's done. She's just gonna take a nap. I'm tired of hearing about video games. All right, Lucy. Let's just calm down. It's fine. Fire Emblem games are great. Contra 4 is really awesome. Super hard. I beat Contra 4 on easy after a while. I got good enough at it, and I beat it on easy. I was like, I totally got this. Tried it on normal, and just I could do nothing. It's so hard. All right, PS1. So I said earlier, PS1 is my desert island system, and I guess now you can see why. Oh man, I don't really know what to pick out of here. Obviously, the Final Fantasy games were all great. What's kind of one that doesn't get talked about a lot? I guess Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain. This game is freaking awesome. The only problem with it is the slowdown and the loading times are brutal. Absolutely brutal. If you can get over that and you can just like deal with the loading times, please play this game. It's extremely violent. Like, you get health by sucking the blood out of like chained up, I don't know, sacrificial people, and you like suck the blood from like 10 feet away, and that's what it sounds like. It makes a, I don't know. Play this game if you've never heard of it. Legacy of Kain. What else? Xenogears, obviously, this is my favorite game of all time. I'll do a separate video at some point just talking about this. I love this game so much. Overall, this is actually most North American released RPGs. The only one I think at this point that is missing is Tales of Destiny 2. Everything else is pretty much here, someplace. The Persona games, got this recently. Someone gave it to me and played through this. Where the Persona games all started. Big fan of the Persona games. Someone asked me recently if I was a Pokemon fan. I never was really into Pokemon. I was more into Persona and Shin Megami Tensei because it's just more adult themed, I guess. It's more kind of like macabre and it's a horror setting. It's the same kind of deal. You like collect monsters and blah 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 and use them to fight, but instead of like Bufu or whatever, Biffoon, I don't even know, Spittoon. The Pokemons, who are they called? Pikachu and the gang. It'll be like some horrible monster that you're fighting with, and that always appealed to me more. PS2. The PS2, as you can tell, the size of these games, the cases, kind of messed up the shelving here. So what we couldn't do another horizontal row. That's why these are stacked like that. Anyway, here's Eco, which I talked about earlier. Amazing game. Suikoden 5 is really, really, really great game that I guess nobody really seems to talk about. PS3, we have the Dark Souls, Demon Souls. This is probably my favorite newish franchise, the From Software games. I really feel strongly that that's what Castlevania should have turned into these games. So in my mind, I just kind of pretend that Castlevania turned into Dark Souls. But anyway, those games are just amazingly atmospheric. You get lost in them. The details of those games and just kind of like the mood and the setting really is transformative in terms of like an entertainment experience, which is what video games should be. A lot of them are. A lot of video games you just kind of play and you're like, whatever, this is a distraction from whatever's going on. But the really great games, I think, kind of transcend that and stick you in the world that they are creating. I definitely think that Dark Souls games accomplish that. For PS4, Bloodborne is really the main one. These other games, Pixie and I played the crap out of this Final Fantasy 14. This is a great game, but after, I don't know, however long we played it, 100 hours or something, you kind of get to a point where it's like, man, you gotta grind so much to get anywhere. Tales of Exilia. This is a cool series. I don't know if anybody watching this is like obsessed with the Tales series. A lot of people are because they make so many of these games. Obviously, they sell. They're really playable. They're really easy to pick up and play. But I don't know. I felt like it was like empty calories. I feel like the Tales series is like donuts or something. You just like they're delicious, and you could eat a bunch of them. But it's like not that satisfying. Half an hour later. I don't know. Maybe I'm like totally alone in that bizarre analogy summation of the Tales series. Here are some 360 games. It's mostly JRPGs. If you haven't like noticed the theme of JRPGs, here's Lost Odyssey. If you're into role playing games and you haven't played this, give it a shot. It's really awesome. The music is freaking incredible. Incredible music in this game. It's really a lot of fun. A great world. And here's Yoshi in a little egg that Pixie made, and the man himself from Chrono Trigger, paper cut. That's pretty much it. There's some special editions up here. Bravely Default. Bravely Default is a game that I was like super addicted to and obsessed with for like 2 weeks, and I didn't finish it. Something just happened around like chapter 4. But I was just like, I'm done with this. And Final Fantasy Type 0. Man, that couldn't have come out at a worse time. That came out just before Bloodborne. And started playing this, and then Bloodborne came out, and I have not even for a split second thought about that game again because Bloodborne just took over. So, and let's face it, the main reason everybody got this was to play the Final Fantasy 15 demo, which I did play through that, and I did enjoy that. Here's the other end table made out of 500 wood blocks, and here's my coaster, which is Mega Man. So that's it. There's a bathroom I could show you. We haven't decorated the bathroom yet, so we'll make another video for the bathroom. I don't know how exciting that is. Just wait. If you stay tuned, we're gonna make a video about the bathroom. I don't know. I don't know. Who cares? But we'll get we have a Mario towel, and we'll decorate it all video game themed and stuff like that. So maybe two of you will think that's cool. Oh, and this is a blanket, a Zelda blanket, handmade. Where's the top of the Triforce? Here. Sorry, Lucy. Lucy, here. You're gonna just wear this for a second. There. Hand stitched Triforce, and then here's the back with. There. See? So, if you haven't checked out the Craftality shop yet, I'll put a link in the description below. Because as you can see, she makes amazing stuff all the time. Lucy's so excited too about the Zelda blanket and about all the Craftality stuff. So that's it. Let's have some candy, I guess, in celebration of this video. Finally, the game house finally being done. Here, have candy. So thank you for watching. Do you want to say hi? Do you want to say anything about the game room? Okay, then there's that. I will talk about some of these games on a case-by-case basis in the future. So I hope that you will be interested in that. And thank you for sticking around for this 4-hour video. I have no idea how long this is. But if you watch the whole thing, then, treat yourself to a Spree. A lovely, delectable, delicious Spree by the Wonka factory. I don't know what I'm talking about. Sponsored by Willy Wonka. Sponsored by you. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens to this candy, because there's no way we're going to eat all of this. So it's really like a decorative item that also happens to be edible. So, maybe one day we'll come in here and it'll just be like brown sludge. Okay, talk to you later. Bye. Thanks for watching. Adios.